Hey everybody, Movie Fan Z here. So I did my best and worst movies of 2023, but there's two more lists to go. So now we're going to get into the best and worst movies that I saw in 2023, but from past years. And I saw a total of 113 movies from past years in 2023. So we're going to start out with the worst movies. And there's also going to be 5 dishonorable mentions. So the 5 dishonorable mentions for this year are 2017's American Made, 1994's Major League 2, 2011's Our Idiot Brother, 2007's The Game Plan, and 2019's Joker. But let's get into the worst of the worst. So at number 10, we have 1992's The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. So I'm a fan of Eddie Murphy, and I wanted to check this out. But this is not a good movie. I feel like the only thing that saved this movie was Eddie Murphy. The biggest issue with me for this movie was the execution. It had an interesting plot, it just was not executed good at all. At number 9, we have 1964's. Make sure. Sorry, 1969's All Monsters Attack. So this is a Godzilla movie. And the biggest issue that I had with this movie is that it was lazy. So this movie pulled from a movie that's actually lower on my list. All of the fight scenes that you see in All Monsters Attack were pulled from this movie. So to me, that was just complete laziness on their part. At number 8, we have a controversial opinion, but 1975's Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I'm a musicals fan, and I don't understand the hype for this movie. I now have seen it twice, and I still don't understand. So, as far as some positives go, I think Time Warp is the best song, and I think Eddie is the best character, and he's only on the screen for 2 or 3 minutes. But to me, Tim Curry just goes from eccentric to just straight up bizarre. And this story goes off the rails and kind of makes its own path. So, is that. Number 7 is another musical, and that is 1979's Hair. So, I think Burger is the best character in this movie, but I think that's the best part of this movie. There's a lot that I didn't like about this movie. I think the generic does not. Sorry, I don't think the romance seemed generic because it did not seem believable. I think the rest of the acting outside of Burger is very bland. Even though it's a musical, I think there are too many songs in this movie. And finally, the trope, even though this was made in the 70s, the tropes of complete opposites is kind of played out. I did want to also say another positive for this movie, even though it still doesn't change the ranking, is that the last 5 minutes, in my opinion, is the best part of this movie because it shows actual meaning. So number 6, we're going with another musical. And I said I'm a musicals fan, but some musicals just weren't good this year. And that is 1978's The Wiz. So, seeing who was in this movie, I was looking forward to it. You had Diana Ross and you had Michael Jackson. It's like, okay, their their characters and their singing was the best in this movie. I wasn't a fan of the story, just like with Hair. I wasn't a fan of the songs, and the rest of the acting was just bad. When it comes to number 5, we're going with the comedy classic that people think, and that is 1993's Grumpy Old Men. The only positive for this movie was Ann-Margret. I felt like she was the best character in here. But there was no flow in this movie. It felt very actory by Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Also, talking about them, it seemed like they did not want to be there at all. And there was little to no laughs in this comedy. Number 4, we have the movie that we kind of mentioned earlier with All Monsters Attack, and that is Ebra, Horror of the Deep from 1966. To me, with this one, it was a bad story and it was a bad acting. And again, the best part of this movie were the fight scenes that they basically just copy and pasted into the other movie. So, number 3 is The Boss Baby from 2017. I didn't laugh once. I thought the execution was bad, and I felt like they just threw too much into this movie. Number 2 is The Boss Baby 2, Family Business. And I rank this lower because the first one at least had something in it. This one, it was ridiculous and it was an unnecessary sequel. And finally, number 1, which is a movie that people love but I just could not stand, is 1997's My Best Friend's Wedding. This movie was bad in my opinion for 2 main reasons. One, it glorified guys being in the friend zone. And basically, Julia Roberts' character has put this guy in the friend zone and he is getting married and she's doing everything she can to sabotage his wedding just to make sure that he remains loyal to her even though she won't give him a chance. And the other thing is, Julia Roberts is the main character, and she is so unlikable and so unredeemable. It makes you wonder, why are we following her in this movie? So, first thing, if you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe. But that list is my top 10 worst movies that I saw in 2023 from past years. Come back next time for another video. This is Movie Fan Z signing off. Have a good night.